Today, we are tearing down a massive misconception about personal finance. We're going to look at exactly what happens when you finally cross that finish line and pay off all your consumer debt. But here is the secret that most financial gurus completely miss. The most profound change of paying off your debt isn't actually financial at all. No, it's a complete, fundamental neurological rewiring. It literally changes how your brain processes the world. And to really understand why, we first have to take a look at what your brain is doing right now. I want you to picture this scene and tell me if you've been here. It's 11 p.m. on a Tuesday. The house is completely quiet, your spouse went to bed an hour ago, and you're just sitting at the kitchen table with the glow of your laptop illuminating a spreadsheet. You're staring at the credit card balance, the car payment, the student loans, and you're doing the mental math you have already done, 17 times this month? You're desperately trying to figure out if you can just push one payment into next month without the entire house of cards collapsing. You don't talk about it. Your spouse doesn't talk about it. It's just this ambient hum of dread playing in the background of your life. And that dread? It comes with a measurable physical cost. 13. According to a famous Princeton study, the persistent financial stress of drowning in debt literally reduces your cognitive function by 13 IQ points. To put that into perspective for you, dropping 13 IQ points is the equivalent of losing an entire night of sleep every single day. Okay, let's dive into this. Researchers politely call this the bandwidth tax. What this means is that those bad decisions you might have made while struggling with money, they weren't because you're stupid. It's because debt actually acts like a physical ailment. It runs your body so hot that it literally eats up the part of your brain responsible for making sound decisions. Your body is running hotter simply because your bank account is running colder. And what exactly is causing that bandwidth tax? Well, it's what we call the monthly subscription to your past self. Look at these typical numbers. The average household sends out roughly $2,200 for a mortgage, a massive $767 for car payment, and that's a very real average right now, by the way, plus minimums on a $6,800 credit card balance and, $200 to $400 in student loans. When you stack all that up, the average American household is sending roughly $3,300 to $3,800 out the door every single month before they even buy a gallon of gas. And that money isn't funding your life today. It's funding decisions the version you from 3 years ago made. Section 1. The Finish Line Trap. Why the brain sabotages debt freedom. So what happens when you finally cancel those subscriptions? What happens the day the last payment clears? You run headfirst into what psychologists call the arrival fallacy. It's this crushing realization that finally getting the thing you have desperately wanted for years does not actually feel the way you thought it would feel. You assume paying off your debt is going to feel like crossing the finish line at the Olympics, right? You expect tears, swelling music, maybe some confetti dropping from the ceiling. But in reality, the final payment is just a boring little digital transaction, the app updates to 0, and that's it. You close your phone and go make dinner. The brain experiences a massive, echoing anticlimax. And faced with that quiet anticlimax, people do something incredibly predictable. They try to manufacture the celebration. Look at this startling statistic from NerdWallet. 1 in 6 people, about 17% of Americans, who completely pay off their credit card debt end up relapsing right back into it. Why? Because they look at that empty budget line where the $700 debt payment used to be, and they think, you know what? We've been so good for so long. We earn this. We deserve to upgrade the car. And boom, the void is instantly filled with new debt. And this brilliantly illustrates the path of 2 different mentalities hitting that exact same finish line. Let's look at 2 hypothetical couples, 5 years after paying off their debt. The Harrisons hit debt freedom, felt that arrival fallacy, and decided to celebrate. Now there's a brand new Tahoe in the driveway. They're financing a kitchen renovation and paying off 3 vacations. They are right back in the hole. Then you have the Parkers. They kept the 2017 Camry with 140,000 miles on it, but they now have a $94,000 brokerage account that wasn't there before, and the wife is casually looking up what it would take to quit her job and start a bakery. Same starting line, completely different universes 5 years later. Section 2. The Social Friction. Navigating the people around you. Once you avoid the trap of rewarding yourself with new debt, you run face first into the expectations of your social circle. Have you ever heard of crab mentality? It's fascinating. If you put a single crab in a bucket, it climbs out. But if you put several crabs in a bucket, none of them get out, because every time one starts to escape, the others literally pull it back down. Human beings do this too. Research out of Yale shows that behaviors spread through social networks like viruses. Smoking, drinking, happiness, and absolutely unequivocally our money habits. They are completely contagious. So ask yourself, what happens when you leave the bucket? What happens when you become part of the mere 23% of households that are completely debt-free, while your friends, coworkers, and family are still trapped inside? Well, some people will be thrilled for you, but others, they'll start making little comments about how you never want to go out anymore or how you just got lucky. You haven't changed, you've just stopped co-signing the social agreement that everyone has to stay in the bucket together. And then, the requests start pouring in. Word gets out that you have money freed up. Take a look at this survey from Bankrate. 70% of Americans have lent money to family or friends, and 55% of those loans ended with the money completely gone, the relationship damaged, or both. When you become debt-free, people who have been financially irresponsible will look at you and think, well, they have it to spare. Financial experts will tell you point blank, lending money to family is often the exact equivalent of setting it on fire.
Section 3. The Optionality Upgrade, the ultimate evolution of the debt-free brain. If you can withstand the social friction, you arrive at the ultimate psychological transformation. Let's look at the quiet math that changes your brain. If you take that $1,500 a month you used to send to banks and you consistently invest it at an average 7% return, year 1 is nice, about $19,000. But look at year 5. You hit $110,000. Year 10, $250,000. Year 20, almost $800,000. But the dollar amount isn't the real story here. The magic happens right around year 5. That's when a profound compounding identity shift triggers. You stop thinking of yourself as someone who used to have debt, and your brain finally accepts that you're now someone who has money.
And this newly adopted identity perfectly matches the actual behavior of wealthy people. In a massive study of 10,000 millionaires by Ramsey Solutions, the data completely destroys the myths we see on social media. 79% of them inherited absolutely nothing, zero. 94% just simply live on less than they make. And 75% attribute their wealth to regular, boring, consistent investing over decades. Not crypto moonshots, not massive inheritances, just beautiful, boring consistency. So the crucial point is, the real prize of debt freedom isn't a giant Scrooge McDuck pile of cash. The real prize is getting your life decisions back. It's a concept called optionality, and it is hands down the single most underrated word in personal finance. People chase dollar amounts because they're easy to measure, but what you really want is the number of doors you can walk through at any given moment. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the data proves that debt is a tax on your courage. You literally cannot afford to take risks when you owe the bank thousands of dollars a month. The Kauffman Foundation found that 65% of all startup capital in this country comes straight from personal savings. And researchers in Philadelphia found that having $40,000 or more in student debt makes you 37% less likely to start a business than your debt-free peers. Debt literally robs you of your ability to make bold career moves. But optionality changes all of that. It flips the entire power dynamic of your life. It means having the career optionality to politely tell a boss who dumps weekend work on you no. It means having the time optionality to drop to 4 days a week so you can be home when your kids get off the bus. It means taking a pay cut to chase a passion, exactly like the Parkers opening that bakery. Or moving to a completely different location just because you want to. Optionality is the absence of that 11 p.m. Tuesday panic. It's absolute peace of mind. Which leads us to the most important, actionable takeaway from this entire explainer. When that final debt payment clears and the app hits zero, your only job is to sit in the quiet. Do absolutely nothing. Do not let the arrival fallacy trick you into filling that post-debt void with a new car loan or an expensive vacation. Just let the money quietly pile up until the bandwidth tax lifts, those 13 IQ points return, and you can actually hear your own thoughts again. Let yourself become the new version of you. Because ultimately, every single dollar you owe is a vote for the life you're already trapped in. But every dollar you save and every debt you eliminate is a vote for the life you haven't lived yet. So I'll leave you with this question. Think about the Harrisons and the Parkers. Which driveway do you want to be parked in 10 years from now? The choice is entirely up to you.